You can put in the work, you can have a healing moment, and it feels like death. It feels horrible. It's like, now I'm mourning what I've lost.
They find freedom on the other side. They find this whole new world that they didn't even know that was possible. But at the time, they were just so blinded by fear.
Welcome to a conversation between two friends.
This is Alice.
And I'm David.
And this is Truthfully Yours.
We are by no means experts or teachers, just speaking honestly within the bounds of friendship. If you found your way here, maybe there's something in that honesty meant for you too.
We invite you to lean in, and perhaps you'll recognize your own journey in ours.
Why do we stay in situations that hurt us? In this episode, David shares his experience with an abusive relationship and the joy of coming out of the closet. Alice reflects on the courage it takes to leave and what waits on the other side. A conversation about fear, freedom, and learning to love yourself the way you love everyone else. This is Truthfully Yours. Now here's Alice and David.
How sometimes big healing moments in our lives where we find ourselves creating significant change to make our lives better doesn't always feel good.
Yeah.
But as I have grown up and experienced different types of healing moments, even big ones, sometimes you're just left feeling not as good after.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I did all that work. And I've noticed this especially with people and setting boundaries. Like, I love you. I want you in my life. However, this behavior cannot keep continuing because it's robbing me of my peace. It's draining me. And having to finally have that moment where you step up, you've decided you're going to do it, and you confront the person, you have these conversations, and you know it was hard, but you know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You want to be like, I'm done. Now let me experience the happiness because I put in all the hard work. But what ends up happening is, nope, those boundaries need reinforcement because people don't often hear you the first time. And so then you're like, fuck, now I have to do the work again. And like, yeah, you do have to do the work again.
Right.
So I think sometimes we really expect like an increased level of joy and happiness for putting in hard work when we ought to do the hard work because we know it's the right thing to do. Because I'll be honest, this is the cool thing about healing and truth. When you're healing yourself and dealing with yourself with honesty and truthfulness, your healing often will help other people as well. Either instantaneously by cutting off a codependent situation or by being an example to other people. Oftentimes our own healing is a lot like how we talk about vulnerability on this podcast, is it ripples out. And so do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And then search for the joy that remains in what's left. There have been big moments of big change in my life where I have felt insane amount of happiness and joy after, like coming out of the closet. Something that I had held inside for so long that when I finally made the decision and followed through on it, I just felt so much lighter and happier. And my life just also got like a lot more interesting and exciting because instead of being closeted in a church that didn't even want you to read Harry Potter, all of a sudden, the world was out there and got to try a lot of fun new things and travel and do a lot of things. And so that was a healing moment that led to definitely immense amounts of increased joy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, everything you said, I was just thinking, yeah, totally relatable. I think what comes to mind right away as you're saying this is anytime we're confronted with a major life-shifting decision, it takes a huge amount of bravery and courage to go through with it, which is why I feel like a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah.
Something that comes to mind right away is relationships. Often when there are safety issues involved, like domestic violence, a lot of women won't leave. It takes them 7 times of kind of leaving before they say goodbye for good. And the moment they do, I've not met one that has ever regretted that decision. They find freedom on the other side. They find this whole new world that they didn't even know that was possible. But at the time, they were just so blinded by fear. And some of it is also just being blinded by this idea of being comfortable in a situation because that's all they've known. And even though they know it's not good for them, there's something about existing in the known that is easy for us to just accept and settle with, instead of being like an explorer, brave enough to just say yes and go in a different direction that could perhaps open this new world for you in a way that allows you to experience that type of pure joy that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm listening to you say these things, and it's just like that toxic relationship where you're like, I had to leave because, the stairs, but now I have an elevator and I kind of want stairs. It's like, that's how women talk too. Like, I have to leave this guy. He's abusive, he beats my children or whatever. And then they leave and they're like, oh, but he wasn't that bad of a guy. He was actually, he did this. And I'm like, honey, no. I think you're forgetting all the terrible things you told me that, he did do. And it's so funny how we reminisce on the good parts of a bad situation to justify our own settling, instead of having an honest conversation with ourselves and saying, no, this was not good for me. And there is something that maybe innately inside of you want more of, and then going for it.
And this is a lesson that I should have learned a long time ago. But I think a lot of times people just accept the love that they think they deserve. And a lot of women struggle with that when it comes to abusive relationships that they remain in. And I'll be honest, my first relationship was a domestic violence abusive situation. I got beat up on a couple different occasions. And I that's not accurate. I was thinking about my own well-being, but I was also equally, if not more, concerned about his well-being. Like if I called the police and he went to jail, what kind of awful things would happen? Do I trust the system that punishment will fit the crime?
Mm-hmm.
But then how do you also navigate your own safety? Because situations like that you find yourself in tend to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got away with just a few scratches this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure, I had to hide from my family for a week while I let bruises heal. Those type of situations. But next time, it's worse.
Good for you that, you were brave enough to finally let go of something that you knew, deep down inside you knew that was not good for you.
Sometimes we put in the work and we have a healing moment in our lives. And for me, I've been operating under oftentimes the misunderstanding that I will then reap greater levels of joy and happiness in my life. And I've been finding out the truth that sometimes, yes, healing moments are great and followed immediately by seasons of joy. Sometimes the opposite is true. You can put in the work, you can have a healing moment, and it feels like death. It feels horrible. It's like, now I'm mourning what I've lost. And I know we talked about it. It's still important to do the work and to heal and to take the steps necessary to achieve that healing moment, setting yourself up for the healing moments that are to follow. What future moments of healing are we robbing ourselves by not taking the steps today that we know we need to be taking? So the healing process is actually the part where you learn to love yourself the way that you love other people. And a lot of times it's asking yourself this question: if my child was going through this, would I want them to behave the way I'm behaving? And you have to be honest with yourself and say, hell no. I'd want them out of that situation. Why are they being so stupid? They know they deserve better. They're good people. All they want is to care for their family and take care of their loved ones. But remaining in that situation is not healing. Healing is saying, I deserve the love that I am giving everyone else in my life. And I should actually act as an example to my children and to people in my life and say enough is enough.
Well, it actually delays your healing. And not only that, it prevents you from living the life that you're probably supposed to have. And when I say supposed to have, what I mean by this is it prevents you from living your true, authentic self in a way that you can live it in freedom. Freedom from fear, right? Freedom from anxiety, freedom from being depressed, freedom from violence, freedom from manipulation. The list can go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ultimately that everyone, if we are brave, could live the life that they always wanted. If they could love themselves the way that they love others.
The person you will live with for your entire life more than anyone else is you. And loving that person appropriately opens up all avenues of life for you. I think that prioritizing that relationship with yourself not only creates a deeper emotional bank, deeper bank of joy to share with the other people that you prioritize in your life, it sets a beautiful example for them to follow as well. Love yourself. Learn about yourself, all the cracks and corners and divvies and little mole holes. Go in all of them and see what you find out.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe to Truthfully Yours wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes weekly on Thursdays. We'd love for you to share this with someone who might need to hear it. For more about the show and Alice and David, visit truthfullyyours.com.